I used to think the scariest thing that could happen to you in a parking garage was getting robbed. I was wrong. It was around 11:40 p.m. when I left work that night. I worked late shifts at a small accounting firm in the city, and by then most of the building was completely empty. The parking garage underneath our office had 4 levels. My car was on level 3. When I stepped out of the elevator, I immediately noticed something strange. A man was standing beside a concrete pillar about 20 feet away. He was facing away from me. I didn't think much of it at first. People parked in that garage all the time. I started walking toward my car. The man didn't move. Then I heard him say something. "Don't go to your car." I stopped. "Sorry?" The man slowly turned his head. I couldn't see his face clearly because of the dim fluorescent lighting. He pointed toward my car. "Don't." I stared at him. Then I noticed something. My car was parked exactly where I'd left it, but the driver's door was open. I was absolutely certain I'd locked it. I backed toward the elevator. The man didn't move. "Call the police," he said. My heart started pounding. Why? He looked toward my car again. "Because there's someone inside." I immediately reached for my phone. That's when the lights went out. The entire garage became completely black. I froze. Then I heard something, a car door closing. I didn't breathe. A few seconds later, the emergency lights came on, casting the garage in a faint red glow. The man was gone. I looked toward my car. The driver's door was still open. I called 911. While I was speaking to the operator, I slowly moved backward toward the elevator. Then I heard footsteps. They were coming from behind my car. One step, then another, then another. I couldn't see anyone. The operator asked me where I was. I whispered the address. Then I heard a voice, my voice. "Don't go to your car." I nearly dropped my phone. Someone had repeated exactly what the stranger had said, but the stranger was gone. The footsteps stopped. I waited. Nothing. Then my car horn suddenly sounded. I jumped. The horn stopped. A few seconds later, it sounded again. The operator told me police were on the way. I stayed where I was. Then I noticed something moving beneath my car. 2 shoes. Someone was lying underneath it. I couldn't tell if they were facing me. I backed away. Then the shoes slowly disappeared beneath the vehicle. I heard scraping. Someone was crawling out. I turned and ran toward the emergency staircase. I didn't even wait for the elevator. I slammed through the stairwell door and ran upward. Level 2, level 1. Then I heard the stairwell door below me open. Someone had followed me. I ran faster. The footsteps followed, not running, walking, slowly, like they knew I couldn't escape. I reached the lobby and burst through the doors. 2 police officers were already outside. I ran toward them. They drew their weapons and entered the garage. I stayed outside. About 10 minutes later, they came back. One officer asked me to describe the man. I did. The officer looked confused. There wasn't anyone down there. I told him about my car. He checked it. Nothing. No fingerprints. No one inside. Nothing under it. I started wondering if I'd imagined everything. Then one officer asked me something. "Did you notice your rear passenger window?" I said no. He told me to look. There was a handprint on the inside of the glass. Not outside. Inside. A few days later, I installed a small security camera facing my parking spot. I wanted to know if someone had been watching me. 3 nights later, the camera detected movement at 11:43 p.m. I opened the recording. It showed my car sitting alone in the garage. Then, at 11:44, a man slowly walked into frame. He stood beside my car. He looked directly into the camera, and then he smiled. I paused the video. My stomach dropped. It wasn't the stranger from that night. It was me. Same face, same clothes, same jacket I had been wearing that night. And then the video continued. The man walked toward my car, opened the driver's door, and climbed inside. The timestamp on the recording was 3 days in the future, and underneath the video was one final movement. Someone had written on the concrete wall behind my car 3 words: "You're next downstairs." The motel was supposed to be a one-night stop. I was driving across the state after visiting my brother, and by midnight I was too tired to keep going. The place looked like it hadn't been renovated since the 1980s. The receptionist barely looked at me. He handed me a key. Room 214. Then he paused. "Don't answer the phone." I laughed because I thought he was joking. He didn't laugh. My room was on the 2nd floor. Inside was a bed, a television, a bathroom, and an old beige telephone sitting on the nightstand. I remembered what he'd said. Don't answer the phone. I went to sleep. At 2:17 a.m., the phone rang. 1 ring, 2, 3. Then it stopped. A few seconds later, my cell phone received a voicemail. I opened it. At first, there was silence. Then, breathing, and a man's voice. "He's outside your door." Then I sat upright. I checked the hallway through the peephole. Empty. I locked the deadbolt and went back to bed. 5 minutes later, there was a knock. 3 knocks. Exactly 3. Then silence. Another voicemail arrived. I played it. "Don't look through the peephole." I slowly lowered my phone. Someone was standing outside. I could see the shadow beneath the door. Then my phone vibrated again. Another voicemail. "He's looking through yours." My blood went cold. I stared at the peephole. Something was covering it from the other side. A finger. I stepped away. Then I heard the receptionist's voice. "Sir?" I didn't answer. "Sir, everything okay?" I recognized his voice. I almost opened the door. Then I remembered the warning. Don't answer the phone. I looked at the telephone. It started ringing again. I let it ring. The shadow beneath my door disappeared. Then someone whispered, "Wrong room." I grabbed my backpack. There was a bathroom window leading to an outside walkway. I climbed through and ran. I reached my car and drove. I didn't stop until I was 20 miles away. At a gas station, I checked my phone. There were 6 new voicemails. The first was me breathing. The second was me getting out of bed. The third was my bathroom window opening. The fourth was me running. The fifth was my car starting. The sixth was recorded inside my car. I could hear myself breathing. Then the same man's voice whispered, "Next time."
You left before I could find you. I immediately pulled over. I checked the back seat. Nothing. I checked the trunk. Nothing. While I waited for the police, I searched the motel online. That's when I found an old news article. The motel had been investigated 12 years earlier after a guest disappeared. Room 214. The guest had called the front desk at exactly 2:17 a.m. He said someone was standing outside his door. The receptionist came upstairs. The room was empty. The guest was never found. I stared at the article. Then I noticed a photograph of the hallway. Room 214 was visible in the background, and standing outside it was a man. I zoomed in. It was the same man from the voicemail. I listened to my newest voicemail again. Behind his whisper was another sound, a telephone ringing. Then my cell phone rang. The caller ID showed the motel. I didn't answer. It rang again, then stopped. A new voicemail appeared. I pressed play. For several seconds, there was only static. Then I heard my own voice, live.
"He's behind you."
I slowly looked at the reflection in the gas station window. There was someone standing behind me. I spun around. Nobody. I looked back at the glass. The reflection was still there. The man was standing directly behind my reflection. He leaned toward my ear.
"You were never in room 214.
I checked the key I'd taken from the motel, room 214, but printed underneath the number, in tiny letters I'd never noticed before, was one word: basement. The motel had no basement. At least, that's what I thought. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They found my car at the gas station, but they couldn't find the motel. There hadn't been one at that address for more than 15 years. The strangest part? My phone still had one voicemail left, time-stamped 2:17 a.m. Tomorrow morning.